Good day, everyone. We are the Group 3 and we're assigned to discuss the introduction of mathematics of finance and other topics under of it. So, mathematics of finance describes the application of mathematics and mathematical modeling to solve financial problems. It is sometimes referred to as quantitative finance, financial engineering, and computational finance. The discipline combines tools from statistics, probability, and stochastic processes and combines it with economic theory. So let's start with the time value. So time value of money uh, is a concept or is the money available at the present time and is worth more than the amount in the future due to its potential earning capacity. The time value of money is also referred to as the present discounted value, and it is said that time value of money allows comparison of cash flows from different periods.
The importance of time value of money. So, why is that important? Well, time value of money is really the compounding effect. So, the longer you have that you're holding an investment, the longer you're getting interest, dividend payments, and growth, the better of that you do. Inflation. Because of inflationary condition, the peso today has higher purchasing power than the peso in the future. Uncertainty. Since the future is characterized by uncertainty, individuals or business concerns prefer to have current income rather than having the same payment at later date. They have an apprehension that the party making the payment might default due to insolvency or any other reason. So, kung tatanungin ko kayo, bibigyan ko kayo ng 1 million pesos ngayon o bibigyan kita ng piso pero dodoblehin ko bawat araw-araw na dadaan sa loob ng isang buwan. Anong pipiliin nyo? Siyempre, yung piso. Ang magiging halaga ng piso sa loob ng 30 days ay magiging 2.7 million sa pagdoble bawat araw. So bakit importante ang time value of money? Well, pag nagsimula kayo mag-save para sa retirement nyo sa edad na 20 at kukurot lang kayo ng konti mula sa income nyo na 10% at ginawa nyo yan sa 10 taon, syempre hihinto ka sa edad na 30 years old. Kaysa magsisimula ka sa edad na 40 na same method pero titigil mo siya sa edad na 65 dahil mag-retire ka na. Maniwala kayo sa hindi. Mas malaki yung ininvest mo nung 20 years old ka hanggang 30 years old. Mas malaki kaysa sa ininvest mo kapag 40 years old ka na hanggang 65 dahil meron nga tayong inflation or certainty. It's the time in the market that is so critical. We refer to that as the time value of money or the present value of your investment or the future project value of your investment based on what you're contributing and what your rate of return is over time. Those time value money calculations are not complicated. So that the time value of money, it is critical to start early. That's the important.
So, time value of money is the concept that the money today is worth more than the money tomorrow. For example, your father has offered you to give some money and asked you to choose one of the following alternatives. And that is, he will give you 10,000 today or he will give you 11,000 1 year from now. Which one would be your choice? Before making your decision, it is important to know that the answer depends on what rate of interest you could earn on any money you receive today. So from 10,000 to 11,000, there is an increase of 1,000 or 10% interest rate. So if you could deposit the 10,000 today at 12% per year, you would prefer to be paid today by your father. Or what if you could only earn 5% on fixed deposit? You would better off if you choose the 11,000 in 1 year. In short, your decision depends very much on what rate of interest you could earn after receiving the money. Therefore, the future period's value is comprised of two parts. So, future value is equals to present value plus the interest rate. Determining the future value. Future value determines what a cash flow received today is worth in the future based on interest rates or capital gains. Future value translates peso today into its equivalent in the future. This process is called compounding. However, present value determines what a cash flow to be received in the future is worth in today's uh, currency value. Present value translates peso in the future into its equivalent today. This process is called discounting. So it discounts the future cash flow back to the present date using the average rate of return and the number of periods. No matter what the present value is, if you invest the present value amount at the specified rate of return and number of periods, the investment would grow into the future cash flow amount. Okay. Suppose you deposit 10,000 pesos into a savings account at the ABC Savings Bank and you are promised 10% interest per period. So let's get the needed data. First, the present value, which is 10,000 pesos. The interest rate is 10%. However, future value is unknown. So to get the future value, we have the formula of future value is equals to present value, open parenthesis, 1 plus interest, close parenthesis. So in the computation, future value is equals to 10,000, open parenthesis, 1 plus 0.10, close parenthesis. So it will be future value is equals to 10,000 times 1.10. So we will have future value is equals to 11,000. So at the end of one period, you would have 11,000, and this 11,000 consists of the return of your principal amount of the investment, which is the 10,000 pesos, and the interest or return on your investment, which is the 1,000 pesos. If the 1,000 pesos interest is withdrawn at the end of the period, the principal is left to earn interest at the 10% rate. Whenever you do this, you earn simple interest. It is simple because of it repeats itself exactly the same way from one period to the next as long as you take out the interest at the end of each period, and the principal remains the same. If on the other hand, both the principal and the interest are left on deposit at the ABC Savings Bank, the balance earns interest on the previously paid interest, referred to as compound interest. Earning interest on interest is called compounding because the balance at any time is combination of the principal, and interest on accumulated interest. The major difference between simple and compound interest is that simple interest is based on the principal amount of a deposit or a loan, whereas compound interest is based on the principal amount and the interest that accumulates in every period of time. Suppose you retain the 10,000 peso principal amount to a savings account at the ABC Savings Bank together with its 1,000 peso return on investment. How much money would you earn in 5 years? So the interest is still fixed to 10%. So to get the future value, we will use the compound interest formula, which is future value is equals to present value, open parenthesis, 1 plus interest rate, close parenthesis, raised to n, where FV is future value, PV is present value, I is interest rate, N is the number of compounding periods, where a compounding period is the unit of time after which interest is paid at the rate given. So a period may be any length of time, a minute, a day, a month, or a year. So let's proceed to the computation. First, we find the data needed. Present value is equal to 10,000. Interest is to 10%, and N is 5 years, where future value is unknown. So in the computation, future value is equal to 10,000, open parenthesis, 1 plus 0.10, close parenthesis, raised to 5, because 5 years old. Future value is equal to 10,000, open parenthesis, 1.10, raised to 5. Future value is equals to 10,000 times 1.61051, and then we will get 16,105.10 centavo. we can express the change in the value of the savings balance as a growth rate. A growth rate is the rate at which a value appreciate a positive growth or depreciate negative growth over time. Our 10,000 peso grew at a rate of 10% per year over the 5 years period to 16,105.10. We could also express the appreciation in our savings balance in terms of a return. A return is the income on an investment, generally stated as a change in the value of the investment over each period divided by the amount at the investment at the beginning of the period. So, kapagka tinatanong sa atin kung ano yung usually ginagawa natin kapag hinahanap yung interest, 'di ba karaniwan, yung principal amount, ima-minus natin dun sa current na amount natin ngayon. So, pag minus natin yon, yung makukuhang product is i-divide sa number of period. So, doon natin makukuha yun sa interest. For example, dun sa ginagawa nating computation is nakakuha tayo ng 16,105.10 centavo. Tapos, ima-minus natin yung 10,000 pesos na principal amount. So, we will have 6,105.10. Yun yung sinasabi nating return on investment. Tapos, i-divide natin siya sa 5 years. So, we will get 1,221.02. So, kapag ka-convert natin into decimals, we will have 12.21%. But, sinasabi nila, the arithmetic is not the right way to get the interest. Because arithmetic ignores the process of compounding. The correct way of calculating the average annual return is to use the geometric average return. So to get the accurate interest rate, we will use the geometric average return. This formula is a way to calculate the average rate of return on an investment that is compounded over multiple periods. The formula is interest is equals to square root of n, future value over present value minus 1. So we will get the needed data. The present value is 10,000 pesos. The number of period is 5 years. The future value is 16,105.10 and the interest rate is unknown. For the computation, we will have a square root of 5, 16,105.10 over 10,000 minus 1. The next is 16,105.10 over 10,000 raised to 1, fifth minus 1. And then 1.1 minus 1 is 0.10 or 10%. So we get the 10%. Therefore, the annual return on the investment, sometimes referred to as the compound average annual return or the true return, is 10% per year. So let's move to another topic, which is compounding more than one time per year. An investment may pay interest more than one time per year. For example, interest may be paid semi-annually, quarterly, monthly, weekly, or daily, even though the stated rate is quoted on an annual basis. To see how it works, let's use a sample. A deposit of 50,000 in an account that pays interest at a rate of 12% per year with interest compounded for different compounding frequencies. How much is in the account after, say, 5 years depends on the compounding frequency. So the compound interest formula is future value is equals to present value, open parenthesis, 1 plus interest raised to n. The table shows all the given data and the result or the future value at the end of 5 years using different frequencies. So we have 4 frequencies: the annual, semi-annual, quarterly, and monthly. In annual, we have 1 year period. Semi-annual have 6 months, quarterly 3 months, monthly 1 month. Rate per compounding period. In annual, it have a 12%, semi-annual 6%, quarterly 3%, monthly 1%. Sa number naman, or number of periods in 5 years. In annual, we have 5 years. Semi-annual, we have 10 periods. Quarterly have 20 periods, while monthly have 60 periods. So to get the future value at the end of 5 years in annual, we have 50,000 times 1 plus 12.12 raised to 5, we'll get 1.12, and then 50,000 times 1.12 raised to 5, we will get 1.12 raised to 5 will get 1.76234168.3, and then we will multiply it to the principal amount of 50,000, which is we will get 88,117.08. So, ganun din yung process sa ibang frequency, pero babaguhin lang natin ibang data katulad dun sa period, sa number of years. But the principal amount is still the same. So, in semi-annual, we get 89,542.38, while in quarterly, we have 90,305.56, and monthly have 90,834.84. So, we will notice na habang mas malaki yung period or mas marami yung period, even na mababa yung rate, we will still acquire mas malaki na interest return. So, ipag-compare natin yung sa annual and monthly. So, in annual, we get a return of 38,117.08. While in monthly, we get 40,834.8. So, meron silang difference ng 2,717.76. So, mas malaki talaga kapag mas maraming period. So, that will be the end of my discussion. The next reporter would be Angelica Pascual.
Next is continuous compounding. Continuous compounding is the highest frequency of compounding interest is compounded instantly. The compounding factor for a year is EAPR, where E is 2.71828. It is the base of the natural logarithm. And the factor for the continuously compounding for 2 years is EAPR, or E squared APR, the present value of an amount compounded continuously. Yung N is a year. Formula FV equals PV, E and open and close parenthesis APR. APR is annual percentage rate. It is a step how to compute the interest compounded continuously. First, take the exponential constant. Yung 2.71828, and compute its the value of the product of interest rate and period in its power. Second, compute the future value by multiplying the starting balance by the value from the previous step. Next is that continuously compounded interest is the difference between the future and the present values. Example, if 1,000 is deposited in an account for 5 years with interest of 12% per year, compounded continuously. Yung formula is FV equals PV, E and APR or future value equals present value, E yung N yung years and APR yung annual percentage rate. Yung 1,000, E 5 open and close parenthesis 0.12. Para makuha natin ay times muna natin yung 5 sa 0.12 para makuha yung 0.60. So, next is para makuha natin yung 1.82212 is yung E ay, ano nga ba yung E? Yung 2.71828 ay ita-times natin sa 0.60. Ang kalalabasan ay 1.82212. Next naman ay para naman makuha natin yung future value ay yung 1,000, yung 1,000 natin na dineposit sa account ay ita-times natin sa 1.82212 equals 1,822.12. Iyon yung future value. Multiple rate. In our previous discussion, we assumed that the investment would earn the same periodic interest rate. We can modify the calculations of a future value to account for different interest rates or growth rates over time. Example. Suppose an investment of $10,000 pays 9% during the first year and 10% during the second year. At the end of the first period, the value of the investment is $10,000, open and close parenthesis 1 plus 0.09 or 10,900. And during the second period, this 10,900 earned interest at 10%. Therefore, the future value of this is $10,000 at the end of the second period is, we can write this more generally as FB equals PV, open and close parenthesis 1 plus I, first year, open and close parenthesis 1 plus I, second year, and 1 plus I, third year, and or 1 plus I N. N is the interest rate period of N. Is a year. N is a year. Example, yung $10,000 open and close parenthesis 1 plus 0.09 and open and close parenthesis 1 plus 0.10 equals 11,990. So, the future value of 10,000 at the end of the second period is 11,990. Yon. And another example. Consider a $50,000 investment in 1-year bank certificate of deposit or CD today and rolled over annually for the next 2 years into 1-year CDs. The future value of the $50,000 investment will depend on the 1-year CD rate each time the funds are rolled over. Assuming that the 1-year CD rate today is 5%, and it is expected that the 1-year CD rate 1 year from now will be 6%, and the 1-year CD rate 2 years from now will be 6.5%, then makukuha natin siya like yung kaninang formula. $50,000 open and close parenthesis 1 plus 0.05, open and close parenthesis 1 plus 0.06 in yung pangalawang taon, and 1 plus 0.065 in 2 years from now equals 59,267.25. Yun yung future value. So, para ma-continue natin yung this example, para naman makuha natin yung annual interest rate over this period, we know that the future value is 59,267.25 and the present value is $50. And N is 3. Ito yung formula, yung I cube root $59,267.25 over $50,000 minus 1 equals cube root 1.18 5345 equal 0.058315 or 5.8315%. Pwede din siyang mas madaling formula. I equals cube root open and close parenthesis 1 plus 0.05 plus 0 open and close parenthesis 1 plus 0.06 and plus 1 plus 0.065 equals minus 1 equals 0.058315 or 5.8315%.
Hi, I am Cyrene and I will be discussing the steps on how we can determine or compute for the present value. But before that, Ano nga ba ang present value? So, present value is the current value of a future sum of money or stream of cash flows given a specified rate of return. Meaning, it is a concept kung saan isinasaad na yung amount ng pera na mayroon tayo ngayon ay mas higit pa sa magiging halaga nito in the future. Thus, money received in the future is not worth as much as an equal amount received today. So, para makompute natin ang present value, gagamitin natin ang formula na PV equals to FV over open and close parenthesis 1 plus I raised to N, or PV equals to FV open and close parenthesis 1 over 1 plus I raised to N. Whereas PV stands for present value, FV stands for future value, I stands for interest or rate of return, and N stands for number of periods. Let's have an example. Suppose a company expects to receive $8,000 after 5 years. Calculate the present value of this sum if the current market interest rate is 12% and the interest is compounded annually. Before anything else, kailangan muna nating i-analyze at i-determine yung mga data na kailangan to solve for the present value. So, future value is equals to $8,000. The rate of return or interest is 12% and the number of periods is 5 years. Then, distribute the data. So, PV equals to 8,000 times 1 over open and close parenthesis 1 plus 12% raised to 5. PV equals to 8,000 times 1 over open and close parenthesis 1 plus 0.12 raised to 5. PV equals to 8,000 times 1 over open and close parenthesis 1.12 raised to 5. PV is equals to 8,000 times 1 over 1.7623. PV equals to 8,000 times 0.5674. So, nakuha yung 0.5674 by dividing 1 and 1.7623. And PV is now equal to $4,540. Thus, the future value amounting to $8,000 has a present value amounting to $4,540. It only proves that if we're going to invest $4,540 in a company, it will grow to $8,000 in a span of 5 years.
Hi, I'm Joyce Ann, and I'm going to discuss on how to determine the unknown interest rate. But first, let's discuss what is interest rate. The interest rate is the amount a lender charges a borrower and is a percentage of the principal, which is the amount loaned. The interest rate on a loan is typically noted on an annual basis known as the annual percentage rate. An interest rate can also apply to the amount earned at a bank or credit union from a savings account or certificate deposit, or the annual percentage yield refers to the interest earned on this deposit account. Most mortgages use simple interest. However, some loans use compound interest, which is applied to the principal but also to the accumulated interest of previous periods. A borrower that is considered low risk by lender will have a lower interest rate, and a loan that is considered high risk will have a higher interest rate. So, as an example, suppose that the value of an investment today is $100 and the expected value of the investment in 5 years is expected to be $150. So, what is the annual rate of appreciation in value of this investment over the 5-year period? We have the formula rate is equals to future value divided by the future value and minus 1. So for the future value, we have $150 divided to $100, which is the present value, minus 1. And we get 1.5 minus 1 is equals to 0.0845, which is 0.0845, which is 1.5 minus 1 is equals to 0.0845, which is 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 0 equivalent to 8.45% per year.
Determining the number of compounding period. First, let's define what is compounding period. A compounding period is the span of time between when interest was last compounded and when it will be compounded again. When interest compounding occurs, interest is added to the principal amount. So, for example, an investor has an investment of $100 and wish to determine how long will it take to make it double in value. If the investment earns 6% per year compounded annually. So the formula is N is equals to IN future value minus IN present value over IN times 1 plus interest. Substitute the future value, present value, and interest with $200, $100, and 0.06. In order to get 5.2983, so most calculator have this button na may IN. So just press IN and type the given value. So we will get 11.8885 or approximately 12 years before maging double yung investment. So in simple words, compounding period, ito yung time or period na nag-accumulate ng interest yung pera natin na idinadagdag natin sa ating principal amount. May it be monthly, quarterly, semi-annually, or annually. So, in determining the number of compounding period using a formula, pwede nating malaman kung gaano katagal bago natin makuha yung desired amount na gusto natin.